United top four, Don?
Oh, I've been trying to back them, Dan, and I was looking at that starting 11 tonight, and I was trying to think how many of the starting 11 would get in, including Arsenal, in the top four, and I couldn't think of any. And I'm backtracking now because I've seen the performance against Norwich, I've seen the performance against Newcastle, Crystal Palace, and the one tonight, and I find it hard because Spurs under Antonio Conte, unbeaten. Arsenal have come a long way. That not the result, but the performance against Man City told me that Arsenal are close to being back because they should have beat Man City. They were certainly worth something out of the game, and their attitude's completely different. So they're on a great run. West Ham have just gone 2 wins back-to-back as well. So United at the moment don't seem to be the form guide, even though they've only lost one under Ranieri. The performances haven't been great. So at the 4 sides going for that one spot, I think it's going to be a struggle for them.
Do you agree, Robbo?
Absolutely. Don mentioned the other 3 sides that seem to be on the up at the moment. Tottenham with Antonio Conte are still only 75% doing what Antonio Conte wants. They will get better and better. Arsenal are now playing at high intensity. They're playing some great football on the counter-attack. They're dominating games at times. And as he said, West Ham are coming back into it. The one side that don't seem to be improving are Manchester United at the moment.
Certainly right. United with a big battle on their hands to finish in the top 4. Meanwhile, Chelsea and Liverpool with a big battle also to catch Manchester City at the top of the table after they, of course, shared the spoils at Stamford Bridge yesterday, finishing 2-2 between the sides currently sitting 2nd and 3rd, meaning that Chelsea currently sitting 10 points adrift as City at the top of the table. Lots of talking points from this game, of course. One of the big ones, Romelu Lukaku, not included in the squad for this big clash at Chelsea. On yesterday's show, Craig and Frank felt this was the wrong decision from Thomas Tuchel.
I don't get trying to make a point when you're in a title race still and you need to win. He has to play. He's the best striker. I want to win the game. I want to put some pressure on Man City.
It's a mistake, and it's the first one from Tuchel, and I'm very, very disappointed.
The Guardian reporting today, Romelu Lukaku is officially off the naughty step. He will be available for the Carabao Cup semi-final tie against Spurs on Wednesday. Apparently there's a meeting between Tuchel and the Belgium international. Just taking it back to that debate, Nedum, I'm intrigued. Do you feel that Tuchel made the right decision?
So I think that Tuchel made the right decision, but for the guys yesterday, I don't think they're wrong. I just think that the way that they spoke about it was something which is true for their time, whereas in this one, I think it's different. I think when you look at the stuff that's come out, and Tuchel says that he made that decision and he spoke to the senior players and the senior players agreed with it, I think it's created a situation whereby, as you can see, at the highest level, it's about the collective. The moment you create a double standard within a football club, especially of that type of stature, you lose the respect of basically the whole dressing room. Like, times are different now. That's why I would say they're different. So I wouldn't necessarily say those guys were wrong, but I've seen it firsthand. As soon as somebody can do something that's very different and everyone else has to follow a different set of rules, as I say, it's in a completely different situation. And they felt that was the right punishment. The players agreed with it, the manager agreed with it, the board in terms of making that decision. And Romelu's probably regretting the decision as well. But it looks like Lukaku's going to be back in the squad because he's spoken with Tuchel. So that's what it was. Whether the game was Liverpool, Leicester, Norwich City away from home, like who cares? For me, it's about principle. And as a consequence, you know what Chelsea stand for because this is how they treat anybody. It's not the fact it was Lukaku. It's the fact of everything that happened with that particular person. So for me, I think it was the right decision. And it's something that they're going to stand by. And it'll probably get them quite far in the long term because people know where they stand now.
Stevie?
Absolutely not playing. I mean, do you think Alex Ferguson would have played him if he was the manager or if this was Man United? Not a chance. Dalglish, any of these guys, none of them would have played him. Absolutely, Thomas Tuchel did the right thing.
The point that the boys were making yesterday, Stevie, was the fact that this was a game that they had to win. And the fact of the matter is that if you spoke to the senior players, they would want Lukaku in this starting 11 because they knew that the chances were better of them taking 3 points off Liverpool with him in the side as opposed to...
Oh, is that right? Oh, you think that's 100%? So because Lukaku plays, then Chelsea win the game. Let me tell you, there's one thing.
Well, do they have a better chance? Do they have a better chance with Lukaku in the starting 11?
Well, if you let me answer, I'll tell you. No,
go on.
No, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it wasn't the best thing to do to play him. Have you ever thought Jules said it yesterday on the show. Half of the stadium was against Lukaku and half of the stadium was for Lukaku. Now, if Lukaku starts the game badly and the crowd gets on him, now you've got Lukaku, whatever, then it starts affecting the rest of the team. Then the whole crowd's against them. The fact was the stadium was on fire. Everybody was behind every single Chelsea player. All the Chelsea players were fired up. They wanted to prove a point as well. The fact that they've got involved and said they didn't think it was right either. Every way you want to look at it is correct. And the little argument of, well, you need to win the game, so you just blow every sort of disciplinary action or anything that goes on at a football club, and Nedum said it, as soon as you know, there was another thing Frank said, by the way. Frank was talking about, you've got to play him, it's not a schoolboy. Well, it's completely the other way. It's not schoolboy, it's professional. And there has to be discipline amongst professionals. And he was 100% right. Thomas Tuchel was 100% right. And for everything you can throw, and the only one that stands up is, well, you need to win the game. That is the one thing that you would consider. There's about 100 other ones that say this is why he's not playing. And they picked the right one. And Tuchel was absolutely 100% correct.
Robbo?
Well, let's get it straight. It looks to me as though Tuchel doesn't really fancy Lukaku at all. Because I saw him for 2 years at Inter, where he was absolutely magnificent. And he probably touched the ball 60 times in a game because everything was played through him. He was good with his back to goal. At the start of the season, he played up front by himself and he probably had 10, 11 touches. They were just seeing him as a goal scorer. He's not just a goal scorer. He proved that at Inter. So I think Thomas Tuchel doesn't fancy him. Lukaku knows that. That's why he's gone to the press and say, I want out at some point. He's wrong to do that. Tuchel's right to leave him out the side. But overall, Tuchel doesn't fancy him, and he's going to be out of Chelsea come the end of the season, probably.
Don, if Tuchel came to you as a senior Chelsea player and asked you what he should do, whether or not Lukaku should play in this big game against Liverpool, what would your response be?
I would be exactly like Stevie. I think for the greater good of the team and the greater good of the dressing room, he couldn't play. And who's to say Chelsea would have got that result if he was in the starting 11, because I thought Chelsea were outstanding. I listened to an interview today, and it was an old one by Jose Mourinho, and he was talking about Lukaku, and he was talking about the individual and his character, and he said Lukaku needs to be the type of guy that needs an arm around his shoulder, and he needs 100% love and affection, and he needs to be told that he's the man. And if he gets all of that, he will be the man, because he's a phenomenal player. I'm not so sure Thomas Tuchel's that type of manager. I think Thomas Tuchel's a little bit, if you don't toe the line, there's discipline here, which is the right way to go. You're going to be treated the same as everyone else. If you step out of line, you're going to be punished and you're going to be disciplined. That has to be the way to go. And it might have been a smart move from Thomas Tuchel anyway, because he might have believed the form that Chelsea are in, they weren't really title contenders. Their form's been average at best over the last 5 or 6 games. So it was a great, I wouldn't say a card to use, but as Stevie said, the atmosphere inside the stadium was absolutely behind Thomas Tuchel, every single Chelsea player. It might have been divisive if he played in that game. And the result that Chelsea got, it might just show that Lukaku's not the man, even though he's a brilliant player, and he will be welcomed back in, and hopefully he gets his confidence back. But in that one game against Liverpool, I thought Thomas Tuchel was correct.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.